Let's just kick it off as we normally do by talking about Amy Mullen and the town of Tiverton. Do we have an update?
We do have an update. For the first 14 episodes of Ask Larry and Bob, I told you what I thought about the case. But today, Stephanie's going to tell you what the judge thought about the case. Take it away, Stephanie, from the actual judge's opinion last Friday.
This is Judge McConnell speaking. I'm going to grant the preliminary injunction and order that Ms. Mullen be restored as a teacher until further notice. I believe the 4 criteria for the issuing of an injunction have been clearly and unquestionably met. There is no doubt in the court's mind on the issue of likelihood of success on the merits that Ms. Mullen was retaliated against because of her protected First Amendment speech. The court believes, and will write further in its opinion in the motion to dismiss, that in speaking at the meeting and in replying on Facebook, she was speaking as a private citizen as the law defines that, and that speech was clearly protected speech. And further on, Judge McConnell says, and the court finds that further keeping her from being an employee, allowing her complete First Amendment rights, would produce irreparable harm. The equities of balance are clearly in the plaintiff's favor. 1, because her First Amendment rights won't be violated any longer, but also because of the fact that for 20 some odd years, this woman devoted herself to the children of a special education class, and never once was her teaching called into question. In fact, it's been nothing but complimented. And to allow the equities favor her ability to get back to doing her duties teaching and representing the teachers, the equities are clear to the court. And finally, the public interest would not be adversely affected by an injunction here. There is no question raised that this woman was anything other than an exemplar teacher. The public interest is well served by getting her back into the classroom, and further, best served by letting her fully and completely exercise her First Amendment rights as union president, so the court's going to grant the preliminary injunction.
So there you have it. Amy is back. As we have said since this case has started, this was a case about her First Amendment rights as a union leader being violated by the superintendent and the school committee, and the judge saw what we saw. I would urge the school committee and the superintendent to settle all the remaining outstanding issues in this case and not waste another dime of taxpayers' money. And if they have any integrity at all, they will also apologize to Amy, her family, her members, her students, and the entire Tiverton community. So hopefully, the only time we'll reference this again is when all the other issues have been resolved. If not, we'll be back, and please rest assured, when the union has your back, they have your back.
Absolutely.
I think, exhibit number 1, why people need unions, and the outrage to think that, especially during this time, that a superintendent and a school committee fired a teacher for one reason only, because she was union president. Not anything to do with teaching. And by the way, when she wasn't in her classroom, as Bob alluded to, her students were the ones who suffered. The parents of those students were the ones that suffered. They were willing to do that, to harm students in that district, because they wanted to get back at her because she stood up for her members. Now is never the right time, but now especially with everything we're going through. That school committee and that superintendent need to work with Amy and the teachers and staff of that district as we talk about reopening in schools to make sure it's a success. Because quite frankly, their behavior shows. If I was a parent in Tiverton, I wouldn't be too confident about their reopening plan based on their actions. They need to get it together, and they do need to apologize to Amy for attacking her and putting her through this because of her violating her First Amendment rights, and especially for being a union president. We weren't going to let it stand, and it did.
Congratulations to Amy.
Yes. And to everyone who worked on it, and to the attorneys. And
Liz Winkes from Gursky was our Liz was our lead outside attorney, ably assisted by everyone who's ever worn a legal hat for us. Jennifer Azevedo, our deputy executive director, and John DeCubelos, our general counsel, and John Leidecker. gone but not forgotten, retired, but was still helping with this case. And Leslie Florio was the UNICEF director. It was a wonderful team effort. Liz had an excellent roundtable to inform her on these, and she did a remarkably wonderful job in court before Judge McConnell. So lots of accommodations to go around, as well as all the union folks throughout the state, everybody on our staff, our NERI leadership and membership who were there for Amy when she needed them the most. That's what unions are.
That's right.